Okay, this video is about paragraph development. As you draft and you get some initial ideas down, the heart of your work is by paragraph. And this is sometimes hard for students to grasp coming from a high school setting or a setting where they haven't done a lot of writing, that you really end up treating each paragraph almost as an essay in and of itself. Each paragraph should be thought about in terms of how am I beginning it, what is inside of it, and how do I move out of it as a writer who's responsible to his or her audience, right? Your audience and its needs should drive everything. That's why we even have paragraphs. That's why we break up an essay into recognizable chunks. It's for the audience. So let's really talk about paragraph purpose, paragraph structure, and what are the qualities of a good paragraph. Those are the three things I really want to talk about. So first, paragraph purpose. A paragraph, a good way to think about its purpose is that it is supposed to explore an insight. I also use the word idea interchangeably with insight. And a way to think about that throughout my writing method is one answer to the expository question that you're writing. So if you're writing about why do people love hockey, each reason that people love hockey would be a different chunk. And you could separate, simply by one paragraph per idea, but sometimes it takes a couple paragraphs per idea, or we'll even talk about later on in the class in particular why you might have really short paragraphs for a particular purpose. So just at a basic level, you have a new paragraph every time you have a new point or idea, or you want to contrast information ideas. When your readers need a pause because you've been leaning through a ton of material and they need a cognitive break to analyze it. And you always want to have a new paragraph at the end of your introduction and to start your conclusion. You always want those things very purposefully set apart from each other. Some more complex ways to think about paragraphs is when you're changing from one element to another. So another way you could think about that is one mode. So one reason, one effect, one cause, whatever the case may be. If you shift the view or perspective, if you're looking at a particular issue from a student point of view, and then it changes to a teacher or a parent to a child or a man to a woman, if you're exploring shifts in perspective, sometimes that's a good place to split paragraphs. If you're moving from one support strategy to another, let's say you're using a metaphor to explain something, and then you move into an analogy or a story, that's where you would shift paragraphs. When you move chronologically through time, you often will shift paragraphs. So if you're telling something chronologically, first, second, third, that's a natural place to break paragraphs. If you're shifting from one memory, situation, or anecdote, so a personal story, if you're shifting from different stories, that's when you might break paragraphs as well. So that's the purpose of paragraphs and why we do that. And of course, remember to indent paragraphs. Paragraph structure. So how are paragraphs made internally? There are three primary ways to do it. You can begin with a topic sentence, and this is the primary way, particularly for less experienced writers, to develop paragraphs. Your topic sentence should be one mode of topic. So remember that expression. So let's say your topic is teaching, virtual instruction, and you're writing a how-to paper. So one tip or piece of advice or key to good virtual instruction is, and that basic formula works particularly early on in drafts. You're not going to stay in that formula by the final draft, but early on in drafts, that basic formula works. And then after you share one mode of topic, you go into your supporting details. So how do you get people to feel, know, and believe that mode of topic. So if I wanted to say one tip for virtual instruction is make sure you still have a connection with your students, you've still developed some kind of relationship. Okay, what kind of details can I give to get the audience to feel, know, and believe that insight I have about the topic? Well, description, narration, examples, explanation, illustration, data, facts, and statistics, so outside research, testimony, a definition of terms, comparing and contrasting so people understand the topic, evaluating cause and effect so people understand the topic. All of these are things that happen inside of the paragraph that are used by the writer to support that main point. So remember, the whole purpose of a paragraph is to get people to feel, know, and believe what you feel, know, and believe about the topic. I can write about why people love hockey because I'm a hockey fan. If you've never been to a hockey game, I want you to feel, know, and believe what I feel, know, and believe about hockey just from having read my essay. So rhetorically, as a writer, how do I get people to feel, know, and believe what I feel, know, and believe about the topic? That's the purpose of writing. So this structure is the traditional structure that usually less experienced writers will start with, and there's nothing wrong with always staying with it. But there are other ways. The topic sentence does not have to come at the beginning of the paragraph. For instance, you can have description, analysis, examples, explanation, narration that lead up to a point that you're making about your topic. So let's say I wanted to talk about one of the reasons people love hockey is the intimate experience of the rink. So instead of starting with that as my topic sentence, if I described the rink and I talked about how, before the puck is dropped, my kids can go down and press their face up against the cold ice. We can hear the coaches coaching and the players smack talk. You can literally hear the skates on the ice. That intimate sensory overload is part of why people love hockey. When you watch a hockey game, you are more part of the experience in the live setting than any other setting because you're close and because the actual environment is changed for the game. I mean, my wife wears a winter coat to all hockey games, regardless of what season it is. The very fact of the temperature being controlled the way it is makes it an intimate experience. And this intimate experience is why people love hockey. So you see how there I built up to this point about hockey? And I just did it verbally, but that is a way you can organize your paragraphs. And of course, so topic sentence at the beginning, topic sentence at the end. The third option is the topic sentence in the middle. And this one works really well when you've got a lot of description about a particular thing, and then you want to make your point, and then you want to talk about your point and go in deeper about it, explore its complexity some. So details, imagery, and description would begin. Let's say I was writing about a tip for virtual instruction. So I might describe Flipgrid and making little videos and how you personalize and personalize in the classroom. And then I would say establishing relationships is so critical in virtual environments. And then I would explain why it's such a critical aspect, right? So a description of it, stating it as my topic sentence, and then going into depth about why. Those three are the primary options you have as you consider the structure of your paragraphs. Now, what makes a good paragraph? Good paragraphs have these four characteristics, okay? They have unity. That means every sentence in a paragraph clearly connects to a central idea that's expressed in the topic sentence. So every sentence connects to the topic sentence, and they're also coherent. So not only do they connect, but they clearly expand on, explore, add additional information about the topic. And they're adequately developed. That means after I read a paragraph, I'm not left with questions. I'm not left with I wonder what the author's really trying to say. I'm not left with a feeling of That was very brief. Um, Adequate development means the reader feels, knows, and believes. Usually that can't be done with just a few sentences. I hate using numbers, but if you've only got 2 or 3 sentences in a paragraph, that's probably not enough development for me to really understand your point and get beyond what I already knew into a more insightful area. So if we think about what we went over here today, in terms of paragraph development, we really discussed the paragraph's purpose. We discussed the. Oh, I'm having a hard time with the Prezi. Just a sec. We discussed the what makes a good paragraph, and we discussed paragraph structure. And so making sure you pay attention to those 3 things as you develop your paragraphs is really critical. You've got to have strong organization and paragraph development to get in those upper level 3.35 and 4.0 levels.